The other issue I wanted to talk about, a few things that when we're talking about the local growth and what happens, housing affordability. This is a topic that almost nobody talked about 12 years ago when I joined council. Now it is a topic for everybody. We've got major challenges in this area. And you'll see some different buildings here, some rental buildings. There's 212 Davis I'll talk more about, some of our subsidized housing buildings. This is an area we have to work at. And housing affordability or affordable housing is a spectrum. It's not one thing, so don't think housing your government subsidized housing only. There's all kinds of aspects to it. There's things starting from shelters, homeless shelters, up to single family homes that are more affordable. Rental is more affordable than home ownership. Townhomes and condos are more affordable than single family homes. And we as a community need to hit all those spots and make sure there's affordability points for everybody in the community. So why is this becoming such a big crisis? Look at that. 2007 to 17, average house price rose by 154%. Below that, the average family income went up by 14%. Think about that for a second. If that doesn't say to you crisis or potential crisis, I don't know what does. That is a huge challenge. And what that means is there's going to be much, much greater demand for rental housing. We're stepping forward when it comes to rental housing in Newmarket. We're a leader, and we need to be. Communities with a decent amount of rental housing are going to be the winners in the long run because we're going to be able to house everybody and people who need to work in all of our stores, in the factories, in the community, everywhere. The fact is that many people in this room, maybe even most people in this room, wouldn't be able to afford the house they live in today if they had to buy it today on their salary. That's how fast house prices have gone up. So what does that mean for young people? You're 25 to 35 years old, which was not a phrase we used long ago, but 25 to 35 and moving out of your parents' house, it's pretty darn tough. So we got to make sure there's housing options. It's going to change. 20% roughly of people in York Region rent right now. That's going to change. Just give you an example, a very expensive city that has been in this situation for much longer than us, Zurich, has about 83% rental. Okay, so we're going to see much more rental, and we're going to see a much greater phenomenon of lifelong renting. So we got to, again, make sure we're providing affordable rental for all entry points. So that's tough, though, because we've got a 1.7% vacancy rate, which is not very strong or healthy. That means we don't have enough rental today, never mind for the exponential growth and demand that there's going to come on rental housing. 212 Davis is an example of how to move that forward. Sam Reisman is here today. Sam, somewhere? Yeah, and Dan, we worked on this for a long time, the region, the town, and we tried to find a way to move a rental project forward. Believe it or not, it's not easy. That is the first purpose-built rental building of any size in all of York Region in almost 30 years. So if you wonder why we don't have enough rental housing, nobody's building it. So through a partnership-based approach, we came up with some very reasonable incentives, not that costly to the taxpayer, but helpful to the business model, deferring DCs, deferring some planning fees, deferring some parkland in lieu, allowing above-grade parking, et cetera. And the partnership allowed us to have almost 50 units that are dedicated to Housing York or subsidized housing unit where we can rent supplement people into the building as well. So a great step forward in the region. This needs to be duplicated by others.